So, my dear Virgo, Sun in Leo, giving the light to the moon, which is in your sign, and we are going to the left. And as such, the lion is calling you, the wildness is calling you, right? Because it's the Beauty and the Beast story, where if you liberate one, the other one is liberated as well. And so it's really beautiful to see that when we take notice of the rotation of the moon, the rotation of the earth, the rotation of the sun in the Milky Way, everything is rotating, everything is shifting and changing, and nothing is fixed, and it's the constant. The only constant is that nothing is fixed. It's an oxymoron in itself, right? And that's why I love doing the tarot, because I am getting more and more into astrology as well, right? Because you are called to do that when you do the tarot, because each card has also an astrological meaning. And if we don't recognize that, then it's kind of like, what are you really doing here? And so I'm basing a lot of my knowledge also onto astrology, but at the same time, I want to be surprised. I want to not know what is coming, because in astrology now, through the applications, through the measurement that we know when Pluto is such and such, right? Or Venus, etc., is crossing, sextile, etc. It's kind of like we know what's gonna come, and still we don't know how it's gonna play out in this life. But here it's like random. And so now the 8 and the 9, when we calculate together, is the 17, and the 17 is the star, the opposite sign of Leo. And it's almost like Leo is calling you to be a star, because you have this jewelry above your head, and it's almost like you are the hermit, the one that done the work, is up at the mountain again, etc. And so I see the jewelry, I see that you destined to shine, because Leo is connected with the sun. And the sun is the center of our solar system, but the sun is not fixed like we always thought. The sun is actually moving in the Milky Way 70,000 miles through the Milky Way, right? And it's like it's an incredible speed. So the wild side, or the beast, when we liberate the beast, then also the beauty can really shine. And this is what Leo is wanting to tell you. Stop being so perfect. Stop being always the one that knows it better, right? Because you're Virgo, the virgin, etc. So this is kind of like a stigma. You kind of always like the old witch, or the crone, right? Which we've seen in some of the decks. The 8 is left from the 17, and remember, in the 17 we have the 10, the Wheel of Fortune, and the 7, the emotional intelligence that we need to understand all of this. The 7th chakra, right? The 8th chakra is kind of like the Earth star hovering above your head, and the 9 is like, I'm out there in the universe, and this is what I feel here, is like you are in the center of your own universe, and you holding your new you in this lantern, and usually in the lantern is the star. The yoga position for Leo is Simhasana, is the lion's breath, is sticking your tongue out and roaring. And the yoga position for you is mountain pose, simply standing up on a mountain, seeing that you united here, you complete. The past and the future is coming here in the present moment as a gift, as a present here in this cosmic egg. And Mercury is ruling you, and this is the sign of Mercury. And so Mercury here is the language, is the consciousness that we can gain when we really understand how all of this is functioning, right? And so here the moon is the subconscious, are your emotions, are your feelings, what is coming up, and particularly here, what is calling you. Something is calling you and is wanting to communicate with you and letting you know, really evolve, right? Evolve into a star and let it shine, because the sun is a dwarf star, just remember, and the sun is always that personality, that which I show to the world. Now, strength in your deck from Salvador Dali looks like this. And what's really interesting, right, each time I see something new in it, and in the signature of Dali there is the swastika, and the swastika has been, of course, really destroyed by the Nazis, and it's kind of like something that we need to remember, that this is a symbol from India. And there is actually a position called swastika asana, and it's part of the meditation positions, right? And the swastika was the symbol for the sun and for the strength the sun gives us. And so this symbol has been abused, misused, and needs to come back in a holy way, in a new way, and not be remembered that what atrocity this person was able to bring into the world. And so there is a very interesting combination now here of like calling almost you to remember to regain the clarity of a symbol that was abused. And we need to do this with a lot of symbols, because sometimes symbols simply get abused, and they are so ancient and they are so clear and they are so pure in its essence, right? And then abuse it in a negative way is like, now we need to heal that part in us. And so I just wanted you to see that. Okay, so you are the Knight of Coins here in Salvador Dali. You have a white horse and not a black horse. Is your birthday between August 13 and September 11? Then this is your court card. Please look in the description below if your birthday is before or after. You might want to look into the reading before or after, because that's where your court card might be. But then you don't have maybe the Hermit as a soul energy, right? Because the court card is that physical aspect, and the major arcana is the spiritual soul aspect that you bring into this world. So you as a Virgo are the alchemist, and of course you're the sixth zodiac sign, and as such you're connected with the sixth house of work and routine. And you see here the moon phases, and you see here this beautiful flower that you are holding up yourself, right, with your two hands. Back to the last reading, because everything is cyclical and we need to include the last reading, because I also look, is there a card that has come in this reading and is reoccurring now in this one here? And as such I know, oh, it's really wanting to tell you something. So Cancer Sun, giving the light to Virgo Moon, the message was, it's time to let go of the heartache you've been carrying for too long. And I see here Scorpio and the Lovers, right? Okay, let's begin. So each time I recognize a new aspect in these cards, right? And it's really powerful because, you know, every tarot reader has their way of expressing what they see. And of course I include numbers, because numerology is really a science that is unparalleled to the spiritual mumbo jumbo, like sometimes the esoteric gets put on, right? And the numbers don't lie, right? An 8 is an 8. And of course a 9 is a 9. And here with the Roman numbers, as you now see, we have the 5 and the 4 in the 9. And the 5 is the Hierophant, but also the 5 senses, and the 4 is the Emperor, which are the 4 senses. And so together the 9, again, the completion here is bringing you an understanding that you need to unite the 5 and the 4 so that you can become a hermit. And in here, the Dali Tarot, the Strength card, is a 10 and a 1. It's not the 8, it's the 11. And also that is something that we need to understand, that there are different schools, different perspectives. They switched cards, and I am not for one or the other school because I'm using all different decks, and that's what makes each reading so special, because each position has their own deck, and as such I'm able to recognize when something is coming twice to tell me, look at it. And so we begin here with the Knight of Coins, and you get the Hierophant, the Taurus energy, and that's clear the spiritual teacher that is coming to you, because you're the 6th zodiac sign and the 5 is the 11. And the 11 is a powerful number because it is twice the 1, and it's the creativity in seeing the one and only, seeing the spiritual message that is coming through here, the Leo energy that is telling you watch and observe symbols and see how sometimes certain symbols have been abused, misused, and not recognized in its purity, in its higher consciousness. And here the 1111, it's kind of like creating 4 times the 1, a portal of 11 o'clock and 11 minutes, or the 1111, right, the date, or other numbers, license plates come to us, or the hours, right? And so observe the 11, see that the portal is talking, and that Leo is definitely calling you, is letting you know, hey, wake up to the power within you, unite the Hierophant and the Emperor within you, unite the fire and an earth signs, unite the mind and the banks, because Aries is Mars and Taurus is Venus, and Mars and Venus is the masculine and the feminine. Unite them. And that's what we see here, right? When we see the past and the future coming together here. And that's what I think the spiritual teacher is bringing to you and letting you know you are powerful. Observe that and understand that and take that into consideration. So the 11 is clear, is telling you watch, observe, and know what is talking to you. Then we look at the Magician, because the Magician is Mercury. And Mercury here, as we can see, brings you the Crow. And the Crow is a really powerful animal, very intelligent. And we get the 13. And you had back then the 13. You had Scorpio, the death card, reverse, right? So something had to go, something left, and it was on the position of the High Priestess. So it's letting you know here through the Crow that someone is talking to you. Maybe someone died and it's coming to you through the Crow and is telling you, see the 13, which is the 10, the Wheel of Fortune, and the 3, the Empress Venus. And so the message here from the Magician, right, because the Magician is a Mercury, and Salvador Dali placed himself as the Magician here in this picture. And you understand that the message is the 4 that is here in your deck, the 4 here, is the Emperor, and that you need to come to this for yourself. It's almost like you need to understand the Wheel of Fortune and Venus, which rules Taurus, and know that then the 4 comes here. The 4 and the 1 is the 5 again, so you have a 5-5 portal. Twice the 5 is kind of like, be creative in the way you see the spiritual masters coming to you, because each one has a message for you. And don't get stuck with just one spiritual master. There can be many spiritual masters in this dimension. And so open yourself up to that. Then I want to see what is coming from your deck, and it's the 3 of Wands, which is Sun in Aries. And so Aries comes up here through the 4 in your card, right? As the 4 elements, or the heart chakra, or the Aries power, the mind, the leader, the Emperor. And Sun in Aries is saying, observe this ship and take within, because we're going to the left, we're going to your new moon. In your next reading, you have your new moon reading. And your new moon reading is important because you plant a seed that's going to grow into the full moon. And so this is your second last reading to the left, to the soul, to the intuition. And the crow is looking into the 3 of Wands. But also remember, when you look at this card, you see him or her looking at the left. But when you become the card, when you become the crow, you see that he's looking to the right. And so within the card, there's always, at first, the observer from the outside seeing things, which is the external world. But then we also understand there is an inner world that is influenced by the outer world, and you can then project that out and tell the outer world what you have understood through it, right? And so the 3 and the 4 is the 7, is the emotional intelligence that you need to understand the spiritual teacher, because the spiritual teacher is the one that constantly works on himself to overcome the 5 senses. And the 5 senses are difficult to overcome because we have until here the 5 senses, and the only way to get out of the 5 senses is the 3rd eye. And so the 7 is then the 7th chakra coming here to you and letting you know, see what the 3 of Wands want to tell you, go out, take the risk again to go into the adventure, an adventure that might end you up to be with yourself. Then comes the Mother Peace Tarot, and it's Temperance to the right. And Temperance to the right is actually looking at the crow. And the crow is, like I said, a spiritual messenger from the dead. And here comes this incredible shamanic ritual here of fire and water, the 14, and the 14 is a 5 again. So you have a 5, 5, 5. 3 times the 5 is you are empowered, right? The 3rd chakra. You are empowered now to speak like a spiritual teacher and use that power. Use it, because then you can go out there. 3 times the 5, we have the 3 of Wands. You can go out there and do what you need to be doing. And so, of course, I can add here the 1 of the Magician. Then we have a 4-4 portal, right? And the 4 is in the 14. So you can create for yourself a mix of teachings, of understandings, of answers to your questions through the numbers. And they are very clear. You know, the crow, beautiful, but that the crow holds the 13. It's like there's a transformation in death, right? And then the emperor appears out of it, and inside is the one, the magician, or the wheel of fortune, or here the empress. I mean, it's like, I find it so fascinating, right? And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, is because I'm constantly amazed how accurate these readings are. Because it's like I see this correlating with people in my life. And I also do German readings, and sometimes I think, oh, it's a completely different reading because it's the next day, because the moon is 2.5 days in the sign of Virgo. So I do one day the German reading and the next day I do the English reading, and I see that it's pretty much the same message, just on a different position it's coming up, right? But you need to learn and grow more into a master, a spiritual teacher, because that's why here, of course, Taurus is here. But it's also mastering the banks, mastering the money, and mastering your actions. And so just watch and observe what is talking here. And then we look at the Hermit. The Hermit is bringing you the pages of fire. And the pages of fire is Aries, is Leo, is Sagittarius. Now you have Leo here, right? And you have here Sun in Aries, the Three of Wands. And you have Temperance, Sagittarius. So there is almost like something like calling you, that is saying you gotta really step up the game. And yes, he's dressed really fashionable, really chic, but in that regards, the action behind it is really important. Not what you wear, not how you look like, it's what power do you have from within. And the 9 and the 3 is the 12, and that's of course either the Hangman or Pisces, your opposite sign, right? Which gives you the light for your full moon, and you give the light to Pisces. And so there is a connection that is letting you know the 12 is important, that you understand that, and then the 3 is left out of that. And so the 3 people here, this young generation, is helping you to understand something quite profound. What is Leo wanting to tell you? Because Leo is giving you the light. Here comes the Chariot, and the Chariot is the 7. So the 7 and the 3 is the 10, and the 10 is a new beginning, the Wheel of Fortune. Understand the emotional intelligence that is coming here. The emotional intelligence is also coming here through the 8 and the 9, the 17, through Aquarius, through the star. And the 7 always, the 7 chakra, is be successful in your emotions, and then everything else is falling into place. So here the 7 and of course the 9 is the 16, and the 16 is the Tower. The 16 is Mars, and Mars is ruling Aries, and we had Sun in Aries, right? And Mars is the fighter, Mars is the warrior, and so the 7 is left. The emotional intelligence will help you here to overcome whatever it is that you need to overcome. And it's important because when I calculate the 9 and the 3 together, I get the 12, and the 3 is left, and the 3 and the 7 again is the 10. The 10 is left. What is the mother piece bringing you? It's the star to the right. And the star to the right is clearly saying, yeah, you are now here called by Leo to be a star. And he's calling you. He's calling you to be a star. So listen to it. It's important. And the 17 turns into an 8. And the 8 and the 7 turns into the 15. And the 15 and the 3 is the 18. And the 18, of course, is the moon, and the moon is the subconscious, and in your subconscious you know that Pisces is there for you. Pisces is the love, Pisces is the emotion, is letting you know that you are learning tremendously through the numbers. You are learning to be a star, and to be a star means to take the responsibility about your mind, about the way you think, and you have the star in the lantern, but when you look at it, there is a baby in, or like a newborn child in the lantern. So understand the message behind it, that you are going deeper and deeper within, and you get the help of an Aquarius, you get the help of course, Sagittarius, right? And you get the help of a Taurus. And so watch that. Now you even get the help of a Cancer, and you get the help of here these 3 young zodiac signs, Aries, Leo, and again Sagittarius. So very clear, the 18 turns into the 9, and there is a 9-9 portal right here letting you know, arrive at yourself. It's important that you understand that. Then we look at the moon, and the moon is bringing you the tidy home. So a tidy home is sometimes quite misleading. We think, oh, I need to clear and clean up. Yes, you should clear and clean up, but a tidy home is more about the clarity and the organization in your mind, in the one and only, in the 11 that you had here through the first interaction with Taurus. Clear up, clean up the 11, and now you again have a 1. It's again 3 times the 1. You learning more and more that then the 18 turns into the 9, and the 9 and the 1 is the 10. And the 10, like I said, is always the wheel of fortune, and the wheel of fortune is spinning, is turning, and we cannot stop it. And so this is what's coming here to you. And of course, Salvador Dali's deck is bringing you the 6 of Swords. And the 6 of Swords is Mercury in Aquarius. And Mercury in Aquarius, with Aquarius as the star, is bringing you, you gotta take this chance to learn what there is to learn, because he or she is in this boat. And again, he always paints all these butterflies, and it's so beautiful, right? Because he likes to show you that in each card there is the chance of a transformation. And the 6 is, of course, a very beautiful transformation, because the 6 is you as the 6th zodiac sign, as the 6th house of routine. And so take on the routine to learn as much as you can learn. The 6 and the 1 is the 7. Then the emotional intelligence appears again, and you know, the 9 here gives itself up. That's what's so beautiful. The Virgo energy is always kind of like, I got it, I understand it, so I can give myself up. I don't need to shine, I don't need to be in the foreground. I know who I am, and as such I give myself up. But the 7 and the 9 again is the 16, the Tower, and things sometimes need to fall apart. We need to fight to understand what's talking here to you, and as such it's the 7. Then the Mother Peace Tarot is bringing you the Fool. The Fool is to the right, and so a new beginning in the house, and a new beginning in the way you handle your house, because the Fool is planet Uranus, and Uranus is of course the rebel, the planet that rules Aquarius. And here Mercury in Aquarius, Mercury is bringing you a big message, because Mercury is ruling you. And so Mercury is literally saying, yes, you got to learn whatever you can learn, and you got to stand on your hands. You got to make here a handstand and learn to overcome anything that you need to overcome, because now we have here the 7 left, or the 7T, right? And the 7T is the crown chakra, with, of course, the foolish idea to literally step over any borders and create a new beginning in your life, which is happening after your new moon. And then comes the sun, and the sun again is in Leo, and here we get the marine life, and it's the richness, the number 32, which is again a 5, and the 3, the Venus, and the 2, the high priestess, the moon. Venus and the moon, the 2 feminine planets, are coming, and here the sun. And the sun is quite somber here in Salvador Dali's. The Leo is down here, and we have here these 2 little angels flying, and it's like I said, it's always a little like somber what Dali does, right? But I think you're the only one that can bring the light into such energies, because he was influenced by Aleister Crowley. And so the 10 and the 5 is the 15. And the 15 is Capricorn. Capricorn is the devil, and the devil is man-made. It's just you cut yourself off from source. You do the atrocities. You or the human race does things that are not okay. And as such, you need to look at how the marine lives flourish and how we come from the water, how we evolved from the water, and the 6 is left, right? And again, you are the 6th zodiac sign. Then comes from Leo, patience. And again, this is Sagittarius. And Sagittarius came here through the Mother Peace Tarot and told you to do this wild dance right towards the crow, and see that you are learning now to be patient, to see that everything has its moment. And the 14 is the 5 again, and we get again a 5 and a 5, and here we had the 5, and then we also had the 5 here. And so the 5 is literally letting you know you really, yes, are going to become now a spiritual messenger, a spiritual teacher. And this is what the sun is literally saying. The sun is saying, yeah, overcome difficulties, right? Because the 5-5 is the 10 and the 1 of here. The 10 is the 11. And so an 11 is talking here to you. And then the last card, the Mother Peace Tarot, we have here the Last Judgment to the left and down. And so it's almost like she is looking down to planet Earth, and we are really destroying planet Earth. And we need to learn to find again the deeper understanding of how we can help, because here this is Pluto. Pluto is gonna go into Aquarius for 20 years at the end of November. Maybe there is the 11. And you have the 6 of Swords, which is Mercury in Aquarius, so learn everything about it. And the Last Judgment is 20, so 20 years Pluto in Aquarius. It's like we need to be patient, but things will clear up also for the ocean. And this is what a spiritual teacher does. He's not just only do the glorification of a god, of someone out there. He becomes God. He becomes the one that walks the talk, right? And this is what we need now. We want people who are patiently helping this planet to evolve and grow into whatever we need to grow. And so we have the 20 and here the 5 and the 5. It's kind of like a 30 plus the 10, it's the 40. And so again, you need to understand the 4 in your card. You need to understand also the 5 in your card, that these two institutions, right, the Emperor and the spiritual teacher, the Hierophant, the High Priest, were ruling the world, the Patriarch, and it's finished. It really is. Like, it's more feminine. It's more neutral, actually, through Aquarius, because Pluto is going to be in Aquarius. In Aquarius, the star has no masculine or feminine side. A star is a star. And so have patience for what the changes bring to you. The richness is here, and you becoming that spiritual teacher that is teaching really clearly this new message out into the world, and understand that you are going to the new moon, and that there you can plant the seed of what kind of spiritual messenger you want to be. And I think the answer will be then in that reading. So I hope I see you in the next reading. That's, like I said, sun and new moon both in your sign. It's going to be important. Until then, I thank you so much for being with me. Namaste.